Ravi stood quietly at the edge of platform number 3, watching the slow arrival of the evening train. The chill in the air whispered memories he didn't want to remember, but today wasn't just any day. It had been exactly 5 years since his wife Mira had passed, and this old train station was where she used to wait for him every Friday, holding a small paper bag of peanuts and her gentle smile. He had come here each year since, not to talk to anyone, but just to be near something that still belonged to her. The train hissed to a stop. People rushed off, laughter, shouts, children pulling their parents' hands. Life moved on. Ravi didn't. He simply stared as the crowd thinned. Then he noticed her, a woman in a wedding dress, sitting alone on a wooden bench at the far end of the platform. Her head was bowed, and her veil fluttered in the wind. At first, Ravi thought she might be part of a wedding shoot, but there was no photographer, no lights, no family, just her, and she was crying. He looked away, trying not to stare, but something pulled his eyes back to her. She wasn't just sad, she was broken. She clutched her phone in both hands, staring at the screen like she was waiting for it to bring her back to life. But it didn't ring. The station started to empty. The tea vendor packed up his cart. Even the pigeons had flown off. She was still there, still waiting, still crying. Ravi took a breath. This wasn't his business. He didn't know her. Maybe someone was coming. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. He turned and walked toward the exit, his steps slow. Then he heard something soft behind him, a muffled sob, like someone trying not to be heard anymore. He stopped, closed his eyes. He didn't come here to save anyone. He had failed to save Mira, and since then, he hadn't saved anyone, not even himself. But he turned. She didn't notice him approach until he was standing just a few feet away. Her mascara was smeared, and her dress had dirt on the hem like she had been sitting there a long time. "Excuse me," Ravi said gently. "Are you all right?" The bride looked up, startled. Her eyes searched his face, unsure of who he was or what he wanted. Then she shook her head, slowly. "No, I'm not." Ravi looked around, then sat on the bench, leaving space between them. "Do you need help?" She wiped her face with the edge of her sleeve. "He didn't come," she whispered. "Who?" "The groom, my fiancé. We were supposed to meet here. It was our plan to leave together after the ceremony, but he never showed up." Ravi didn't know what to say. He nodded slowly. "Did you try calling?" She held up her phone, the screen blank. "I've called him 11 times. Last message said he needed time to think. That was 3 hours ago." The silence grew heavier between them. Ravi stared at the tracks. "Do you have someone to call?" "Family." She shook her head, her voice almost a whisper. "They don't know. I left home to be with him. They didn't approve." "Where do you live?" "Nowhere," she said softly. "I gave up everything." Ravi ran a hand through his graying hair. He didn't need this. He was barely holding himself together. But something in her voice, maybe the way it cracked like his, had cracked once, touched something he hadn't felt in years. "Look," he said after a long pause. "I know I'm a stranger, but you shouldn't be here alone. It's getting late. This isn't a safe area at night." She didn't respond. "My house is nearby, just a few minutes walk. If you want, you can come rest for a while. I'm not offering anything more than a cup of tea and a safe place." She looked at him cautiously, unsure whether to trust a man she'd just met, but something in his tone wasn't threatening. It was tired, honest, like he had no expectations, just concern. "My name is Zara," she said finally. "Okay, Ravi," she said quietly, "just for a little while, until I figure out what to do next." They walked in silence through the quiet lanes behind the station. His home was small, modest, filled with old furniture and fading pictures. Zara stepped in hesitantly, removing her heels at the door. "You can sit," Ravi said, pointing to the living room. He walked into the kitchen and put on the kettle. His hands trembled a bit as he took down 2 cups. Zara looked around. The house smelled of sandalwood and books. A framed photo on the table showed a smiling woman in a sari, arms wrapped around a younger Ravi. Her eyes were kind. "Your wife?" Zara asked gently. He nodded from the kitchen. "Passed away 5 years ago. I'm sorry. She would have offered you tea, too," he said with a soft smile. They drank quietly. No words were needed for a while, but Zara finally said, "Thank you for not walking away." Ravi looked at her, his voice low. "I almost did." She stared at him. He continued, "But I've walked away once before. When someone needed me most, I couldn't do it again." Her lips parted, but she didn't ask what he meant. "Tomorrow," he said after a pause, "you can decide where to go. But tonight, just sleep. The guest room is ready. You'll find everything you need." Zara stood up. "I don't want to be a burden." "You're not," he said, then added softly, "Not tonight." As she stepped into the guest room and closed the door, Ravi sat back on the sofa and stared at the photo of Mira. He spoke aloud, barely audible. "She looked just like you, the day I left her waiting." He leaned back, closed his eyes, and let the silence return. But it wasn't the same silence anymore. Someone else was breathing under his roof, and something in his heart had shifted. Ravi woke before the sun rose. The house was still, wrapped in a strange quietness that wasn't the usual kind. It felt fuller, not heavier, just less hollow. He moved silently through the kitchen, boiling water for tea. The the familiar routine calming his thoughts. He didn't know what today would bring, but he knew one thing: he wasn't going to rush her. She'd already been through enough. Zara hadn't come out yet. He let her sleep. After everything, she needed rest more than anything. He left her a tray near the door with tea, toast, and a small note. It said, "You're safe here. Take your time." He stepped outside and sat on the porch, wrapping himself in a shawl Mira had knitted long ago. The air was crisp. Birds stirred. In the trees, life was beginning again in small, quiet ways. Inside, Zara finally woke. The first thing she noticed was the warmth. Not from the blanket but from the silence. It wasn't cold or awkward. It felt intentional, like the house was holding its breath for her. She sat up slowly, still in her bridal dress, now wrinkled and heavy. She saw the tea, the note, and for the first time since yesterday, she smiled, though it was weak and unsure. Changed into a loose curtie she found hanging behind the door and tiptoed to the kitchen. Ravi saw her through the window and stood up. "Good morning," he said softly. She nodded. "Thank you for the tea." He offered a small smile. "I didn't know how you take it, so I guessed." "You guessed right." They sat on the porch, sipping tea side by side, not saying much. There was comfort in the silence. Not everything had to be explained, not right away. "I didn't sleep much," Zara said, breaking the silence. "Bad dreams. Just ... confusion. I keep thinking I'll wake up and be back in my room, that none of this happened, that he didn't leave me like that." Ravi nodded. "I used to think the same. After Mira passed, I'd wake up and reach for her hand, only to remember she was gone." Zara looked at him quietly. "How did she die?" He sipped his tea, eyes fixed. "On the horizon, a heart attack. Sudden. I was at work. She called me, but I was in a meeting. I ignored it. By the time I called back, it was too late." Zara didn't know what to say, so she said nothing. They sat for a while. Then Ravi stood. "I need to go into town for a few errands." "You'll be okay here?" She nodded. "Yes, if you feel like walking, the garden's out back. Mira used to spend hours there." He left quietly, and Zara wandered through the house. She stopped at the photos on the wall: Javi and Mira at the beach, at a wedding, standing in front of the same train station where she had sat crying yesterday. There was something peaceful in Mira's face, like she knew how to carry joy, even in silence. Zara stepped into the garden. It was small, wild, but beautiful. She found a swing tied to an old mango tree and sat there, letting the breeze move her back and forth. When Ravi returned later, he saw her in the garden, head tilted toward the sky, eyes closed. For a moment, she looked like Mira. That evening, over dinner, Zara finally asked, "Did you ever get angry at her for leaving you like that?" Ravi shook his head slowly. "No, I got angry at myself, for not being there, for choosing work, for thinking there'd always be more time." Zara pushed her plate away gently. "I left home for a man who didn't even show up. I thought I was being brave. I thought love meant following someone, even when it felt risky. Sometimes it does," Ravi said. "But love also means being seen. If he saw you, truly, he would have come." Her eyes shimmered. "I was going to marry him without a real ceremony. No guests, no family. Just the train station and the promise of something new." Ravi nodded. "The first time I met Mira, it was at a bookstore. She was reading the ending of a novel before buying it. I asked her why she spoiled it for herself. She said, 'If I can accept the ending, then I'll enjoy the journey.'" Zara smiled. "She sounds like someone I would have liked." "She would have liked you too." Later, Zara helped clear the table. As she reached for a plate from a high shelf, she accidentally knocked down a small tin. It rolled across the floor and opened. Inside were photos, old ones, some of Mira in her bridal attire, smiling brightly, some faded letters, and one envelope unopened. Zara picked it up. "You never opened this." Ravi looked at it and froze. "No, she wrote it the night before she died." Zara wrote slowly, carefully, choosing each word as if it were a wound she was trying to close. The letter wasn't long, but it carried years of weight. She didn't ask for explanations. She didn't demand apologies. She simply told the truth. Pain, the disappointment, the quiet strength she had found in herself since that day at the station. And then, in the final line, she wrote, "I forgive you, but I don't want you back. I found peace in the place where you left me behind." She folded the paper, sealed it in an envelope, and left it on the small table near the window. She didn't know where to send it, but she hoped, somehow, it would reach him. Ravi watched her from the kitchen. He didn't interrupt. He knew this was a private moment, one that needed no words. When she turned around, her eyes were red, but her hands were steady. She gave him a small nod, and he understood. A chapter had closed. They decided to walk into town later that afternoon. It was a simple place: narrow streets, tea stalls, old bookshops, and a quiet temple at the corner where Mira used to light a candle every Thursday. Ravi walked slightly ahead, letting Zara take in the world on her own terms. She didn't talk much, but her face held more calm than he had seen in days. As they passed the temple, Zara paused. "Did Mira come here often? Every week?" Ravi said. "Even when she was tired. She believed small lights make a difference in big darkness." Zara stepped inside, lit a daya, and closed her eyes. She didn't pray for Arav, she prayed for herself, for the courage to move forward, for the strength to stop looking back. When they returned home, the sun was setting. The gate creaked as they entered. Ravi paused. Something felt off. The front door was slightly ajar. He hadn't left it that way. He signaled Zara to stay back and stepped inside carefully. The living room looked normal, but the guest room door was open. He moved slowly, heart thudding. Inside, the drawers were pulled out, papers scattered. The wardrobe open. The letter Zara had written, gone. Zara entered behind him and gasped. What happened? Someone was here, Ravi said quietly. She ran to the table. The envelope was gone. No, she whispered. No, no. Ravi checked the windows. One in the back had been forced open. Whoever had come hadn't taken money or valuables. Just the letter. Zara backed into a corner, panic rising. It was him. It had to be him. Ravi locked the doors and drew the curtains. We're not going to panic. Whoever it was didn't want to be seen. They took what they came for and left. But why? She asked. Why steal a letter? Ravi looked at her calmly. Maybe because they needed to know what you'd say. Maybe they thought you'd want them back. Zara shook her head. This is wrong. This is all wrong. Ravi sat beside her. I'll go to the police if we have to. But first, we wait. We don't move in fear. That night, she couldn't sleep. Every sound made her jump. Every creak in the floor felt like footsteps. Ravi sat on the couch, watching the door, a cricket bat beside him, just in case. By morning, things seemed quiet again. But the peace had been cracked. Zara sat by the garden, staring into nothing. He won't stop, she said softly. He wants control, always has, Ravi nodded. Then we take that control back. She looked at him. How? You tell your story, not just to him, to everyone. She frowned. What do you mean? He stood. Come with me. He led her to the attic, dust swirling as they climbed. In the far corner was an old wooden trunk. He opened it and pulled out a camera, a mic, and an old laptop. I used to run a blog, he said, before Mira passed. I told stories, real ones, stories people were afraid to share. Zara looked at the camera. You want me to talk? Only if you're ready. But stories like yours, they don't belong in silence. She hesitated, then nodded slowly. Okay, I'll speak. Not to him, but to every girl who thinks love should hurt. They set up the camera that evening. The guest room became a studio. The window light hit her face just right. She looked into the lens, took a breath, and began. My name is Zara. I was left at a train station in a bridal dress. And this is not a story of shame. It's a story of finding yourself after someone else lost you. She spoke for 15 minutes. Her voice didn't shake. Her hands didn't tremble. She told the truth, raw, broken, and brave. Ravi uploaded the video that night. He didn't add music or filters. Just the title. She was left at the station, but she didn't stay there. By morning, it had 10,000 views. By noon, 80,000. By evening, over 300,000 comments poured in, women sharing their stories. Strangers sending love, messages of support from across the world. Zara read them all. Some made her cry, some made her smile. All of them made her feel seen. But just as she began to believe in peace again, a message arrived in her inbox. No name, just a video. She clicked play. The screen showed a shadowed figure sitting in a car. A familiar voice spoke. You think the world will protect you now? You think this story is yours to tell? Careful, Zara. You left me. Remember? And I always find what's mine. The screen went black. She stared at it, frozen. Ravi entered. The room saw her face, and knew. He picked up the phone. It's time we finish this, he said. The phone call was brief, but firm. Ravi spoke calmly to the officer he used to know from his teaching days. Her life may be in danger, he said. I'm not accusing yet, but I need someone to watch the house tonight, quietly. The officer agreed. Old favors still counted in this town, and Ravi had never asked for one until now. Zara sat on the sofa, arms wrapped tightly around herself. The glow of the laptop screen casting eerie shadows on her face. She hadn't moved since the video ended. Her fingers were cold, her heart louder than the silence in the room. He's watching me, she whispered. Ravi nodded. But now we're watching back. He printed out the screenshot of the video. Framed dark car interior, blurred features. But the voice was unmistakable. Arav, the man who once made her believe in love, was now trying to weaponize fear. But this time, she wasn't alone. The police car arrived quietly after dark, parking 2 streets away. A plainclothes officer walked the perimeter. Another hid in the trees near the garden wall. Ravi didn't want a scene. He wanted safety, and time to think. Inside, the lights were off. They sat in the dark, sipping tea. Zara's hand still trembled slightly as she held the cup. He doesn't want me back, she said suddenly. He just doesn't want anyone else to hear the truth. Abusers don't care about love, Ravi replied. They care about control. Zara looked at him. What if he really tries to hurt us? Then he'll learn I've already lost the most precious person in my life, Ravi said, his voice steely. I have nothing left to fear. There was a long silence. Then Zara whispered, Mira would have liked you. Ravi smiled faintly. She liked broken people, thought they were more honest. The doorbell rang. Zara jolted. Ravi stood quickly, motioned her to stay behind, and walked to the door. A familiar voice called out, "Ravi bhai, it's me Prakash." Ravi opened the door slightly. It was indeed Prakash, the chai vendor from the corner shop. "I saw someone outside your house earlier," he said quietly. "Not from around here. I thought I should warn you." Ravi thanked him, his heart tightening. After Prakash left, Ravi double-checked all the locks. The officer near the garden signaled a thumbs up from the shadows. Still, they barely slept. The next morning, the sun returned as if nothing had happened. The world was bright again, but the house remained quiet, tense. Zara stood in the garden, staring at the mango tree where the swing hung crooked. "I used to dream about wedding mandaps and songs," she said. "Now I just dream of silence." "You'll dream better things again," Ravi said, "but not overnight." Zara sighed. "I thought telling my story would free me." "It will," he said, "but freedom always upsets the ones who built the cage." She looked at him. "What if I tell more?" "You mean, ... keep speaking." She nodded. "Not just my story, other women, real ones, like your blog used to do." Ravi's eyes lit up. "We could do that." That day, they started something new. Zara drafted a second video. This time, she didn't tell her own story. She told another girl's, a girl from the comments section. A girl who was also abandoned in silence. They recorded it in the living room, Zara's voice steady, eyes determined. By evening, the new video was up. That night, there was no message. But the next morning, Ravi opened the gate to find a bouquet of white lilies on the porch. No card, no note, just silence. He brought them in quietly, placed them in the kitchen. Zara stared at them, her face going pale. "Lilies," she whispered. "That's what I told him I wanted in my wedding bouquet." No one else knew. Ravi stared at the flowers. They were fresh, recently delivered, and someone had been close enough to place them without being seen. "We need to end this," he said. "Face him." Zara looked at him, frightened. "You want to meet him?" "I want you too." "No, not alone," he said. "Not unprotected, but on your terms." That evening, Ravi posted a public message on the channel. "To the man who left a girl at a train station, and to the ones who try to silence those they hurt, this isn't your story anymore. If you want closure, come speak to the one you wronged. One last time. In the open, no fear, no threats, no secrets." He listed the time and place. The same train station where it all began. Tomorrow, noon. Zara didn't sleep. By morning, the video had gone viral. Local channels picked it up. Messages flooded in. Some said don't go, others said be brave. The car ride back from the station was quiet, but the silence wasn't heavy anymore. It was thoughtful, reflective. Zara sat by the window, her fingers gently tracing invisible patterns on the glass. She kept replaying Arav's face in her mind, how little emotion it held, how empty his threats had become in the light of day. She expected to feel more anger, more fear, but what she felt instead was relief. Not joy, not yet. But a weight had lifted, and she could finally breathe without his shadow pressing on her chest. Ravi kept his eyes on the road, glancing at her occasionally. He didn't ask how she felt. He knew that healing was quiet work. It didn't need questions, just space. As they reached home, the wind had picked up. Leaves danced across the garden path, and the swing under the mango tree creaked gently in rhythm with the breeze. Zara stepped out of the car and stood for a moment, just listening. The air smelled of soil and jasmine. It felt alive. Inside, Ravi made tea. They drank it on the porch like they had done the very first morning, but everything had changed. The fear that had once sat between them was gone, replaced by something unspoken and kind. He didn't even try to deny it. Zara said softly, "No," Ravi said, "because he knew it wouldn't work this time." She nodded. "I think I needed to see that. I needed to know he wasn't stronger than me." Ravi smiled gently. "He never was." That evening, the second video Zara posted crossed 1 million views. Her inbox was flooded with letters from women, girls, even men thanking her, asking for guidance, telling their own stories of abandonment, pain, survival. Some wanted her to speak for them. Others wanted to speak beside her. She sat for hours reading, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. Then she opened a blank document and began to write. By midnight, she had the draft of her next script: a girl who was silenced by her family after refusing an arranged marriage, another who was blackmailed for leaving her groom on the wedding day, a third who ran away from abuse and found refuge in poetry. She didn't use names, just voices, truths. She showed Ravi the script in the morning. "I want to make this a series. A place for people to come forward, not just sad stories but brave ones. Like your blog once was." He read every word, then looked at her with quiet pride. "Then let's do it." They spent the next few days turning one room of the house into a small studio, white backdrop, soft lighting, a handwritten banner that read, "The second chapter." Zara insisted on writing it herself, in her mother's script, "because even if they never forgive me," she said, "I want them to know I carried them with me." The first episode went live on a Friday. By Sunday, it had 5 million views. People didn't just watch, they shared, commented, translated it into other languages. It spread like fire, but instead of burning, it lit torches in dark places. Zara's name became known, but she stayed humble. Every message mattered, every story was personal. But then came another letter. This one arrived by post. No return address, no name. Just a white envelope with her name in clean, neat letters. She opened it slowly. It was short. You think you're done? You're not. I know your truth too. Don't forget, everyone hides something. Zara froze. Ravi found her in the hallway, the letter still in her hand. Her face had gone pale again. Another threat, he asked. She handed it to him. He read it, eyes narrowing. He's not going to stop, is he? Zara's voice was quiet. I don't think this one was from him. Ravi looked at her sharply. Then who? I don't know, she whispered. But someone knows something I've never told anyone. She walked to the garden, heart pounding. Ravi followed. Zara, what is it? What truth? She looked up at him. The night I left for the station, I lied to my parents. I told them I was going to a friend's house. I didn't want them to know about Arav. I didn't want them to stop me. I thought I was doing the brave thing. He waited, but there was someone else who knew. Someone who helped me pack. Someone I thought I could trust, who my cousin Ravi stepped closer. You think she sent this? I don't know. Maybe she's angry. Maybe she found out I made the video and thought I betrayed the family. Ravi looked back at the letter. Then we find out? We ask. Zara hesitated. I haven't spoken to them since I left. Maybe it's time. Later that evening, she picked up the phone and dialed her mother's number. Her hands trembled. The phone rang 5 times before a familiar voice answered. Zara, her mother said, stunned. Zara, is that really you? Mama, she whispered, tears rising. There was silence. Then a deep sob on the other end. Where have you been? We thought. We thought something terrible happened. I'm safe, Zara said. I'm okay now. Her mother cried harder. You left without a word. We were angry. Yes, but we were scared more. I know. I'm sorry. I didn't know how to face you after. Come home, her mother said. Please, come home. Zara looked at Ravi, who gave a small nod. I'll come tomorrow, she said. But I need to ask something. She told her mother about the letter, the strange warning, the suspicion. Her mother paused. Ruhi hasn't been the same since you left. She said you made a fool of the family. She blamed herself. Why? Zara asked. Because she helped you leave. She thought, if we found out, we'd never forgive her. Zara's heart tightened. And did you? We forgave her, her mother said. Eventually, but she changed. Quiet, secretive. I don't know if she sent this letter, but if she did, she's hurting. Zara nodded. Then I'll speak to her too. The next morning, Ravi offered to drive her, but she chose to go alone. She needed to face her past, not be protected from it. As the car pulled into her old neighborhood, children played in the streets. The scent of spices filled the air, and windows opened one by one as neighbors peeked out. The girl in the bridal dress had returned, not broken, not defeated, but changed. Her mother opened the door with tears running down her face. Ruhi stood behind her, silent. Zara stepped inside, unsure if she was walking into peace or another storm. Zara stepped into the house slowly, her eyes scanning every corner like she was seeing it for the first time. Nothing had changed. The same sofa set with plastic covers, the ticking wall clock, the faint smell of rose incense, yet everything felt different. The girl who had run away in silence was not the woman who stood here now. Her mother hugged her tightly, sobbing into her shoulder. For a moment, they said nothing. They just held each other, letting the pain of the months in between pass through their embrace like rain through open hands. When they finally sat, Zara looked around for Ruhi. She stood by the hallway, arms folded, eyes unreadable. She hadn't moved or spoken since Zara arrived. Ruhi, Zara said gently. Ruhi didn't answer. She just stared. I need to ask you something, Zara continued. Did you send me a letter? A warning? Ruhi blinked, surprised. What are you talking about? A white envelope. No name, but someone who knew what I'd done. Someone who wanted to scare me. Ruhi's expression changed something between anger and guilt. No, I didn't send anything, but maybe someone should have. Zara's chest tightened. Why? You left me to deal with everything, Ruhi snapped. You disappeared. They blamed me. They thought I helped you throw away your honor. I kept your secret and I paid for it. I never asked you to lie. You didn't have to, Ruhi said bitterly. You looked me in the eyes and begged me not to say a word, and I kept my promise. While you were out there healing, I was here surviving your silence. Zara looked down. I'm sorry, but Ruhi shook her head. Sorry doesn't fix everything. Their mother stepped in. Enough, both of you. This house has seen enough silence. We won't carry it anymore. Ruhi walked away, shoulders tense. Zara sat still, letting the weight of her cousin's words sink in. She had been so wrapped in her own pain, she never once imagined the cost others had paid for her escape. That night, Zara stayed in her old room. Her books were still there, untouched. The curtains still had little gold stars stitched across them, like wishes waiting to be made. She sat by the window, watching the streetlights flicker. She could hear her mother speaking softly downstairs, and footsteps moving about the kitchen. A quiet knock broke the moment. Ruhi entered without waiting. She stood near the door, awkward, arms crossed. I didn't send the letter, she said again, but I did think about it. Zara nodded. I would have understood if you had. Ruhi walked in slowly. It's easy for everyone to call you brave, But they didn't see how scared I was, how betrayed I felt. Zara looked up. I didn't mean to betray you. I know, Ruhi said. And I didn't mean to hold on to it this long. I guess we both just got stuck in our own pain. They sat in silence. Then Ruhi added, I watched all your videos. Zara blinked. You did. I hated the first one. I thought you were pretending to be strong. But then, I watched the second one. And the third. And something changed. Zara waited. You were speaking for people who never get hurt. I couldn't stay angry after that. Zara's eyes softened. I never wanted to hurt you. You were the only person I trusted. Ruhi nodded. And maybe now we can trust each other again. In the morning, they had tea together like old times. The tension wasn't gone completely, but it had faded. Zara hugged her mother goodbye, promising to visit often. As she walked back to the car waiting outside, her phone buzzed. A message from Ravi. Call me the moment you're alone. It's urgent. Her heart raced. She dialed immediately.